This is Life Prepper here, and I want to talk to you about something that's really, really serious when you think about it. And you get, you say, oh Lord, here she is on her soapbox again. But the point is, it's the truth. If we don't stop destroying our world, and I'm not talking about just a handful of people who's out there trying to say, let's change. Let's change this. Let's change that for the better. We're talking about the overall people who destroy so much. And this is what you're looking at. Over in Africa countries, many grandparents are raising their children for the simple reason is that many of the parents have died because of diseases and things. Another thing, they keep burning off the rainforest just to have some more acres for their cattle and stuff. And by doing that, they're opening us up, because as we keep going more and more into the jungles and areas that people's never been and cutting into things, we are exposing ourselves to new diseases that have probably been dormant for centuries, because some of this stuff that's in these rainforests has been here since the beginning of time. They are finding every year a species they thought was extinct that is living in existence. So we are setting ourselves up for a total breakdown if we do not change. Now, you've got people that's doing solar energy, and you've got people that's doing wind power and stuff like that. But we need more things like that. And the problem is, most people can't afford it, and I'll admit that. But the thing is, a lot of them, they destroyed all of it. This is what happened to Easter Island. They kept cutting the trees down, cutting the trees down. And then they kept, when they did all the research, they just thought maybe they just died off. What they did, they turned on each other. They become cannibals just to survive. They were starving because they kept cutting all these trees down in the name of building their gods. One was building this one big, so another one had to build it bigger to prove a point. So what they did is they stripped the land. And there's other countries the same way. They turn around, they catch the fish that was put into the ponds. It's supposed to help the lakes. All it did was an invasive species that destroyed the other fish. So they used this fish, and the women would take the fish that was not the biggest one, and they would smoke them. So they was cutting the trees down on the island, and it showed that there was only a handful of trees left because they did not replant the trees. They was cleaning all of it off, and their livelihood was going down, down, down as they kept overfishing. The only vantage point was the natural species that was in the lake was coming back, but the other species had been overfished. Same way over in Japan. They have overfished their waters for their whatever they're looking for, $100,000 tuna and stuff like that. So it's just going around everywhere. If we don't start changing more and get away from this GMO stuff and quit putting so much bug sprays, and the thing is, you're getting food from Chile and China and whatever is imported in here. But the thing is, they're putting chemicals on these things, and a lot of these chemicals are not regulated over there as they are here. They was put to a stop over here. But many of these so-called companies over here went over there and set up over there because they could get away with things they couldn't get away with over here. So what they did is they're putting more chemicals into stuff. You're exposing stuff into your body. Now, I'm just as guilty as anybody else. I don't eat strictly organic food. If I can get it, that's great. But the thing is, too, I like trying to raise some of my own stuff. And I still eat out of the can. And I still go to the restaurants. And I still do things I shouldn't do. Now, there's a lot of things I don't do anymore. I don't do TV dinners anymore. I don't do Hot Pockets. And I like my Hot Pockets. It's easy. It's convenient. And that's how it's set up. Go and buy. It's easy and it's convenient. But there's a cost to all of it. By them genetically altering it, the wheat. They used to say wheat was good for you, but wheat's not good for you anymore. You know why? They kept experimenting with it. GMO. It went from a tall, natural wheat that had full of nutritional value that was good for you to a short wheat that was actually worse because it was more sugar and all this stuff, and it had less nutrition. It was not as good. So they were saying, okay, we're going to get rid of this tall wheat because it blows over so much easier and it's much more. We're going to genetically alter and create this more other type of wheat instead. So they did, but eating wheat no more is good for you. Is it good for you? No, not anymore. I mean, Dr. Oz talked about it. He even showed it. So we're sitting here with GMOing ourselves to death. We got companies open up companies overseas to save tax dollars, save money, and they're using chemicals over there that they're not allowed to use here in the U.S. or allowed to use in England or in France or some of the other countries. So that's what they do. Plus, on top of that, a lot of those countries, if they make $400 a year, they're rich. They pay them nothing. And if you look at some of the homes they have to live in, they build homes for whatever they can find. So they're sitting there stripping the land to survive. They're not worried about the consequences down the road. But what's happening is that starvation is happening. The drought is coming in because if you keep cutting the trees down, the trees draws moisture out of the air and it puts it into the ground. And then the sun brings the moisture back out. It all has a chain event. So if you take away all the trees, there's nothing to hold down on the ground. All the grass, the topsoil gets blown away. The animals are getting destroyed. They're being pushed farther and farther back into the jungle area. You got insects. You got creatures that's never even been seen that should be left alone, but we're going to keep on messing with it until we're going to have a serious outbreak. That's where they said Ebola comes from, was from back there. Back in the jungles and stuff. Plus other viruses and diseases because we can't leave well enough alone. Now, we got to change. Now it's slowly happening. I've never seen gas this low in my life. Well, in years. Let me put that away because I got some years on me. And the only reason for that is because a lot of the companies are finally jumping on the bandwagon and creating solar energy. Finally creating wind power and selling it back to the electric companies and stuff, making money off of it. But it took them a long time to do something about it. Because they didn't want to let go of the oil stuff. They just finally went that way. But the only reason they finally went that way is because it's money in their pocket. What they need to do finally is go take these homes and fix up a lot of homes for people who can't afford it and set them up with some solar panels and set them up with some wind power panels and stuff so they can have some electricity in their house, cheap electricity, save them some money instead of paying an arm and a leg for all this electricity. And then they can sell their extra electricity back to the companies. We need more of them. Why don't they do some of that also? Instead of going out and paying $20,000 for a designer dress. A lot of them wears one outfit that costs us more than my year's paycheck, and I ain't making nothing right now. I mean, shoot, if you spit in the doggone pot, you might find a little pile of spit back in there, and that's about as much as I got. I ain't got enough. It's not even worth me spitting for several times. Just like if you're thirsty. That's what's happening. You're sitting there saying, I'm thirsty. Well, that glass of water is taking care of your planet. Let's say taking care of your planet, that glass of water. You're sitting there saying, hey, what are you doing to take care of things? How are you changing things for the better? Okay. Well, I got fined a few years ago for some toxic waste. Well, what you do about it? Oh, we relocated it. Where'd you relocate it at? Oh, well, just in a small town area where there's about 2,000 people living. It don't matter. It ain't affecting none of them. It's all good. All right. Then turn around, they're in the news again over something else they did illegal. And then they get a slap on the wrist saying, okay, yeah, well, that was just a misunderstanding there. Yeah, okay. So then they turn around, they go to these charities, they write a check out for a tax write-off. Don't even care. They says, all right, who do I need to write a check to get me some tax write-off? Here you go. You know what? I need to lay off a bunch of people. Let's get rid of them. Those I want the permits for that land out there. I don't care if it's a historical land. I don't care if that's a historical house on there. I don't care about that mom and pop business. I want that. I don't care about that forest. I want to get over there and I want to grill oil for it or whatever. I want to clear that out. Now, more companies is getting more responsible now. They used to just go in and clear the trees down and not replant. But most of them's replanting now. But you're still going to get those that's not going to. And then they're complaining about up in Alaska saying, they refuse to release more areas up there to get oil. The thing is, I think they probably would if there was a reason, if they would turn around and didn't destroy the environment and they was respectful and took care of it and approached it in a nice environment way. Unfortunately, several of the companies say they're going to and they're not going to. We are destroying our world. I mean, we still just have a small percentage of people here sitting and say, hey, whoa, wait a minute, let's see. I'm tired of this GMO. I'm tired of this genetic enhanced meat. I'm tired of all this land getting destroyed, because they talk about it now. As the farms slowly shrink down, there's not going to be enough food to feed everybody in the world. They're paying farmers not to raise certain foods to keep the prices up. We have people still in the United States going to bed hungry every night. You got people living on the streets because we're still destroying things. And look at the other countries. Those countries over there, a lot of them's worse than we are. They're destroying acres at a time, burning them off just to put a cow or two on it. Destroying all that, taking all that dirt, and it's just turning, all the topsoil is gone. All the animals are gone. The trees are gone. All because they want some cattle on that thing. And it's costing them more in the long run. So then their health is set up, then they're having bad health. Because they don't have the food to feed their families, because the dirt ain't good anymore because they destroyed it. If we don't start respecting the world and changing it better, and not just a handful of people, I'm talking about the whole world. If we don't wake up, seriously wake up and change more, and all these haves who don't care about the have-nots except write a check out for whatever, if they don't start caring a whole lot more, they're going to wake up without anything themselves. Because if SHTF happens worldwide and a virus outbreak happens, it's not going to matter what statute of life it is. It is proven time and time again during the plagues and everything that the well-to-do will lock themselves up away from the others, and they still got sick and died. If we don't stop destroying the world, we are setting ourselves up for virus outbreaks, world starvation, the loss of water, topsoil being gone to raise plants. If we don't change, and I'm talking about not just a few changing. I'm talking about the whole world changing. We are going to destroy ourselves. This is Life Prepper from the World of Joan. I want all you to be safe, be happy. Bless you all.